We're standing up for a number of reasons in San Antonio today, and the main one is we want clean air. You know, we're having fiesta downtown right now. Fix it. And the children really shouldn't be outside exerting themselves. You know, they're calling it it's an ozone action day, ozone alert day, hazardous for what they call sensitive groups. If you consider children to be sensitive groups, I consider them to be people, right? And are most valued, you know, among our most valued folks. So we should just be saying that but air is bad for people. It's bad for our children. It's bad for older folks, particularly, you know, folks that have asthma and have difficulty breathing, have heart issues. And so we're here for them. But I want to read a brief statement. And there are actions going on all around the world, particularly standing up against this proposed LNG plant, the Rio Grande LNG plant, and the would-be financiers in France, the Rio Bravo pipeline, and the company in Houston, in Woodlands, Houston, that's behind that next decade. We're here to say that they don't own the next decade, that the people do, and we want it to be a clean decade, a real clean decade, not a greenwash that they're bringing with LNG. And so this is a statement that's going out to the folks in Ireland, to the folks in Germany, the folks in the UK, New York, and around the state and around the world. How's that one look okay?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay. I am in the city of San Antonio, one of the largest U.S. cities that's suffering the most from pollution in the Eagle Ford Shale. I'm here as part of an international movement called Break the Fracking Cycle that is demanding an end to the disastrous frack gas industry in Texas that has international consequences. We are one of 7 demonstrations happening this weekend in Texas, New York City, Germany, Ireland, and France, drawing attention to the various aspects of the cycle. At the heart of this cycle is the Rio Grande LNG terminal and the Rio Bravo pipeline, proposed projects that would threaten South Texas communities and induce climate-killing levels of global greenhouse gas emissions. Here in San Antonio, Texas, we recently had our first ozone exceedance day of the year. We're having another one today, so off script. That's about 4, I think, we've had already. And these rising ozone levels in our city greatly contribute to asthma attacks and other health problems in our majority Latinx native identified city. And the number source of ozone is, the number 1 source of ozone is fracking in the Eagle Ford Shale. The construction of the Rio Grande LNG terminal would demand more fracking in the Eagle Ford of South Texas, a practice that pumps toxic chemicals into the ground, contaminating aquifers and exposing our rural communities to ozone, and here in the city, and methane pollution. We demand the denial of all permits for the Rio Grande LNG terminal and Rio Bravo pipeline in South Texas that would complete the international frack cycle. We call upon Société Générale to withdraw from the Rio Grande LNG project. And as I was saying earlier, you know, about what's happening here in San Antonio, what's happening here in the frack fields and here on the coast, we're looking at really a broken system, a system that devalues native industry, our shrimpers on the coast, coastal tourism, folks who live all across South Texas who want to breathe clean air, and here in San Antonio as well. So I want to introduce, we've got a number of speakers here from a number of organizations. I'm here with the Sierra Club. I represent also Climate Action SA, which is a coalition of nearly 40 community organizations here in San Antonio that stand for clean energy and a just transition to a new economy based upon clean energy for a just transition, and that means raising all boats together and recognizing that those who are the most vulnerable right now are also the least culpable, so we want to raise them up. I'm going to hand it over to Peter Bella, as the former Natural Resource Director for ACOG, our Alamo Area Region of Governments, Council of Governments, to speak about ozone and where we are right now.
Thank you, Greg. So again, I'm really excited to be part of what is an international event, because San Antonio, Texas may be a place that people don't know much about, especially when it comes to environmental questions, environmental issues and challenges. So I'd like to highlight, because you may not know me, I'd like to highlight...
Can I get you started? I'm going to do my video got booted off real quick, so... Sorry about that. No problem.
Strangers in the night. Just a little entertainment for the crowd. Thank you, thank you. I'll be here all week. Keep your bartenders and waitresses happy. They provide us a lot of support.
Stop recording.
2 seconds. All right, Peter.
Ready?
Yeah, 1 second.
Good afternoon from San Antonio, Texas. My name is Peter Bella, and while you may not know me, people should know that about San Antonio, Texas, they may think of San Antonio as kind of a sleepy southern town somewhere near the Mexican border, and they may not have a whole lot of clue about what is going on in San Antonio. But I'm here to let you know that not only am I involved in a number of groups, but there are a number of groups here today, and I'll talk about, that are deeply concerned about the environmental issues challenging, the social justice issues challenging our region. So I'd like to introduce people to them. People here in San Antonio should know, people across the world should know that San Antonio is not a sleepy little town anymore. I was born and raised in San Antonio and love it dearly, and that's why I'm here to help defend it. I was the lead in this year's March for Science here in San Antonio. On April 14, about 400 of us gathered to celebrate the value of science. Our march was basically in support of using your brains to solve problems in the world. Our rally was also a direct request to our local elected officials, local, state, national, to use their brains the same way when making policy decisions that affect our lives. I'm also working with a group of big data specialists in a project called Alamo Regional Data Alliance. Look us up online, alamodata.org. That's alamodata.org. Come see who we are. We're working to enable access to data held by many agencies across South Texas to pool these resources so that when many communities make decisions and policies, those decisions can be based on evidence and facts. I'm working with this group in part to help assure that everyone has access to this data and can even receive free training to perform analyses using this data. I'm also on the steering committee of the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, a process created by the San Antonio City Council at the request of Mayor Ron Nierenberg, in a partnership with CPS Energy, the University of Texas at San Antonio, and the wider community here in the city. We're here to develop the city's first carbon plan. We take as fundamental that climate change is real, is occurring, and must be addressed now and into the future. The climate action planning process is a very direct exercise in using data and our brains to make decisions based on science, to improve the lives of citizens in our future community especially. I'm working with Climate Action San Antonio to make sure that any changes introduced through the city's climate planning process adequately address social and environmental justice issues through transparency, collaboration, and the empowerment of communities in our city which have not historically shared power in decision making. The results so far, if we use our brains, several conclusions are evident. What we know about fossil fuel is that burning it causes climate change and endangers our planet and our future. We know that we have reached a critical juncture in technology and politics such that, with dedication, we can depend far more on renewable energy sources, energy conservation practices, and smart city planning. And so we can drastically reduce our dependence on fossil fuels. We can do that now. We can do that here. I also know that we are seeing a degradation in the use of science at the national level in our environmental planning process. The Pruitt EPA is responsible for a series of environmental safeguard rollbacks that increase pollution and reduce our common quality of life. Our health must come before industry profits. The well-being of Mother Earth must be placed before greed and small-minded self-interest. We need to return to the use of our brains and our hearts in decision-making. I'm calling for a very particular revolution, not just our revolution, but every revolution. I'm calling for a change in risk assessment when it comes to the environment. In this country, the paradigm is If you can prove to me that my pollution is causing you harm, only then can I be sued. Only then can protective regulation be enacted. The paradigm I promote is, prove to me that your processes are safe and provide a level of risk we can both accept, and only then will your process be allowed. I argue that current practices for fracking fail such a test. We know about the potential for methane contamination of drinking water, accompanying gas well drilling and hydraulic fracture. And methane gas, the main component in natural gas, is 85 to 105 times more powerful than carbon dioxide at disrupting the climate over a 20-year period. While there is still no consensus as to how much methane is leaked into the air due to shale drilling and fracking, I argue that climate science says to me, your processes are not safe and do not provide a level of risk we can both accept. If we are to use science in our brains as well, the time has come to turn away from fossil fuel use as our energy mainstay, here in San Antonio, in Texas, in the United States, and around the world. Thank you. Next.
Okay, my name is Sophia, and I am chair of our Revolution San Antonio, part of Climate Action SA. And as we gather here in solidarity to denounce the damage that these oil and gas magnates are doing to our state, to our planet, we must not forget that it is our government that ensures our soil being violated by providing these corporations the right to our minerals in our land. As our state provides these permits, as we see our lands being destroyed, we have seen health risk increasing in impoverished population. As the quality of air diminishes and pollution increases, our people, my people, suffer most. Birth defects, respiratory illness, asthma, lower life expectancy, heart disease, all of these increasingly affect people of color, my community. But at the end of the day, it will also affect all of us. So I'm here to say we must break the fracking cycle. As this health risk increase, we also have our government slash funding on public health clinics, which prevents our people to have access to health care. So we not only must demand a green energy, moving to a green energy now, we must demand single-payer Medicare for all. And the reason is because we need to ensure our children are taken care of. We must strive to do better. We must ensure we demand our city, our country, to move away from fossil fuels and into renewable energy. Let's be clear, coal, natural gas, oil are not our friends. They increase pollution, health risk, and the effects of climate. We must look around to other cities who have gone 100 renewable, like Denton, Texas, or Georgetown, Texas. They have done it. Why have we not done it? We cannot pretend that our city has the most progressive council. As CPS unveils their plan to burn coal and gas to 2040. What about our future? And what about the future of our children? It is our duty to demand better, and stop the drilling, stop bullying the lands, and move away from dirty energy. And yes, let's stop the fracking cycle. Now, Claudia, welcome.
Texas Victory Project.
Texas Victory Project.
Hello everyone, thank you everyone who's joining us here today. It's a very important day for our community, not only for our community here in San Antonio, but across the world. We have a lot of issues that are happening. Again, my name is Claudia Sanchez. I'm with Texas Victory Project, and we're here because as today, it has been declared as by the Texas Commission of Environmental Quality as an ozone action day. That's one of the issues why we're here. And as that being today, happening today, it's a very important day because it's very detrimental to our community, especially people that are in danger, such as small children, such as our seniors, people that already have issues with their breathing, with their health. This is something that's really impactful to them and to our community. One of the things that we're doing with Texas Victory Project is bringing awareness to our community. We see here at Fiesta thousands and thousands of people that are not aware of what's happening within our own communities. They don't know how our government is running. They don't know how the issues that are happening in immigration. They don't know the issues that are happening within our healthcare. They don't know, and least of all, they don't know what's happening with our climate, or air, or water. We have a lot of issues that we've been working on as a community with different organizations, because all these issues are directly impacting our community, especially a lot of communities of working class, communities of African Americans, communities of Latinos, communities that don't know what's going on within our community, how they're being impacted by these issues. People that have asthma, they're being impacted by all these decisions, and we don't know, they don't know how it's going to impact their health, how, you know, it's all connected. And so that's why we're here, because we want to educate our community about what the reality of our cities, of our governments, and how it's so important that they get involved, that they get educated, especially right now with elections going on. It's all connected, it's all intertwined, because if people know what's happening, they know how our elected officials are voting on these issues of climate, voting on the issues of healthcare, voting on the issues of immigration, voting on the issues of our air or water, how these are all impacting our working class, poor, minority communities. And so that's why we're here, to bring awareness to our city, to our community, and for them to get involved, get engaged, and take ownership of all these issues, because that's really gonna hurt our community. Not only now, it's already hurting us, but in their future, how that's going to impact our children. A lot of people are saying, you know, well, I probably won't be around, you know, when a lot of these things happen, or by the time this happens, I won't be alive anymore. But we got to look out for the rest of our children, our grandchildren, our future generations of this nation and around the world, because whatever happens, not only in the U.S., but what happens in Ireland and England and, you know, Asia, everything directly impacts all of us. And so that's why we're here today. We're asking people that are watching on our live stream, or people that happen to run into this video, to join our community and be aware of those issues and be a part of the movement. Thank you.
Let me get that.
Next.
Yeah, just real quick, I want to do just a little transition. Let me see if I can turn this around. Maybe I can ask. Oh wait, here it is. So thank you, Claudia. Thank you, Peter, Sophia. I think one of the things that you all raised that's so vital, right, is the disproportionate harm, right? The disproportionate risk that comes on, that's placed upon low-income communities and communities of color all over the world, right? I mean, we're doing it global north to the south, from the rich to the poor, to the white, to the black and the brown. It's an equitable distribution of that risk and oppression. And I think I was thinking this morning about how to speak about ozone, how to speak about air quality and children who can't breathe. And it came to my mind like that Eric Garner, when New York City police were stepping on his chest and had him in a chokehold, and he said, "I can't breathe." 11 times he said, "I can't breathe." Now, to draw on Black Lives Matter, to draw on Eric Garner's experience, it's important also to say he was an asthmatic. There's many times in his life that he was thinking or saying out loud, "I can't breathe." And our children here in San Antonio and South Texas, and where people are watching this with asthma, they are saying the same thing, and they're being smothered by the same forces of state and corporate oppression. And so we need to say we stand with them. We can't breathe, and it's past time that people come up, rise up, and make this explicit. This has been an ill-defined creature, right? Oil and gas, the pipelines, you know, we call it the black snake now in wrapping the world, but it's been ill-defined. I think we name it. We say this is fracking, this is natural gas, this is an LNG, and we want a clean, just transition. We want to breathe, we want our children to be healthy and happy, and that's where San Antonio, that's why we're standing up against the Rio Grande LNG, and we're urging Ireland, where it's illegal to frack, to break this contract, to not import natural gas from South Texas. So I'm going to turn it over to another speaker, Moby Warren, one of our glorious local poets, has prepared a poem to read with us. And I'm just going to hold this speaker up so we can hear well. Moby Warren.
I'm representing the environmental writers and artists group Stone in the Stream, Roca and El Rio. We want our words and images to advocate for climate change action and environmental justice. This is a poem written about the impact of fracking in our home, South Texas. Fracking the Eagle Ford. In a dream, I held 4 pebbles in my mouth to slake thirst during a 100-year drought. 4 words, syllables of the sacred. I awoke singing, Hymen, Hymenoptera, Foramen, Foraminifera, and wanted to dance a circle over the Eagle Ford Shale to cleanse what we have done. Children born in a time of shattered rock and the reckless burn of carbon, forgive us. Hymen, we force water, giver of life, into a weapon to sunder the mother's hidden membranes. We plunder glittering fossil beds, foraminifera, the ancient reefs beneath our feet. We are grave robbers who burn cradles. We forsake the wild bees, Hymenoptera, community-minded insects whose dance of take is also a dance of give back. We erase their courtship of horsemen and paintbrush, star-faced flocks, flowers powered by the sun, whose spidery roots find paths through rock by becoming one with it. Foramen, for the children, amen. Hold a newborn in your arms. Place a light hand over the pulse at the crest of her skull, the soft spot where hint of sea still murmurs, child swathed in wonder. She needs clear water, unmolested land, mild air, what we now poison.
Thank you. Is there anyone else up here? We're a small group. If anybody wants to step up and say anything going on here, where we are with any of these topics. All right, yeah, I'm gonna grab it again. I just want to say just real quickly how much I appreciate everybody who came out here today. And I know it feels like it's a small group. There's just a handful of us, but I want to say just that I know almost everybody here right now, and I know that y'all are people of integrity. And the thing that I think the politicians, policymakers, the corporate giants don't understand is, if a news channel flew over right now and we're looking down on us, oh, that's not newsworthy. There's not enough people here, right? But what they don't see is what I see in all of you every time that we meet, and that there's a fire inside each one of you, and it's one that doesn't go out and one that doesn't give up. And you've been working on these issues in San Antonio for a long time, and I know you're going to keep working on them. And that fire is contagious, right? That fire spreads, and it spreads among your circles. And you know you each represent many, many people who stand with you and stand with us on this issue, that stand with those around the world that are fighting the black snake. And so I just want to acknowledge that. I think, this connection, this connection that people have in terms of like a large group, when you get a group together. And I was really inspired, when all the students came down here and they were standing up against gun violence in their schools. There was thousands and thousands of students from middle school and high school and grandparents and adults, and parents. And I was moved, that's a moment, that's a powerful moment. It gives you hope when people come to the street with you. But even when you're just standing, when there's just a handful of you, I think about, I hate to mention the name, but Trump's inauguration, right? He went on and on and on and on and on about who was there for the inauguration. And it was the biggest one ever, right? Because it matters. People think about these numbers really matter. And in this case, there was, it was one of the smallest ones that we know in historic memory, right? And so you by the numbers, you would think, oh, there's not support there. But we know something very different. We know that when Scott Pruitt comes up and he says he wants to eviscerate environmental law and regulations in the nation, people are complicit all over this country. There's like 40% of the people in this country are actively complicit or supporting policies that damage our health, that ruin our children's lives, do permanent damage, right? And so I just want to say these numbers, the numbers that we have right here with us, that's not the whole story. The story is what folks here in the city, in the state, in the nation don't see. And that's what I see in y'all. So we're going to keep this pressure going. We're going to keep building with each other. And we're going to make the world that we want. And one of the exercises a friend of mine, let me turn this, see if I can get this up. A friend of mine often does, and I've kind of stolen from them. They have an exercise, right? So we talk about what we don't want. Activists talk about the things that frustrate us and make us angry, right? And so people think that we're just like grouchy all the time, like we're just grumpy people, you know. And the thing that animates us is love, and people don't understand that. We don't talk about it enough, I think. But you know, I'm deeply in love with everyone here, with all those down here celebrating Fiesta, you know, with the rest of the people, my brothers and sisters all around the world, and that's why I do the work that I do. So I just want to put that out there, and you know, as we close down today, maybe just take a couple of minutes in silence and think about, you know, the world that we want to see, right? And it's important that while we decry those things, those scars, the blood on the land, that we also at the same time we take time within our own hearts and our own minds and in our own communities to also be imagining another world and a better world, because that's the world that lives in each one of us, and we will manifest the dream that we dream. So I'm going to turn off the mic and keep the cameras on, and I'm just going to ask y'all to just spend a moment. I know it's awkward, sometimes silence is awkward, especially at an event like this, but just think about it. You know, think about what does the land look like. You know, what do you feel? What do you feel on the land, and when you're with your family or your children, your loved ones? What's the air like? You know, what does it smell like?
You know, if you go online or if you look at the news, at the international news, a lot of the things that are happening across the world, and with climate, you see a lot, you know, hurricanes, earthquakes, you know. Those are signs that the earth is giving us of the things that are happening to the earth, and we need to listen to all those signs that we're seeing, and, you know, take action, because we, you know, one day, you know, hopefully it won't happen, you know, we realize that it's too late to fix it, but hopefully we can make those changes beforehand, because, you know, as a community, as a world, as a people across the world, the nation, we deserve to be healthy, we deserve to live happy. Just, you know, we have our Constitution, that we have, you know, the right to liberty and justice, you know. That's one of the things that's part of that, you know, to be happy, to be healthy, to be, you know, in a community that's not dying of cancer, that's not dying of, you know, asthma attacks, it's not dying of a lot of other health issues that come, you know. In a lot of our communities, as I said, are being impacted, but, you know, we can, you know, make those changes over time. We can make it happen. So we deserve that as people, as human beings, and our earth, you know, needs it. So everyone to join, you know, our marches, our protests. Come out to vote and make those changes. Be aware, do your research, because the media, a lot of the public sources that are out there are being influenced politically, are being influenced by money. So they're not going to tell you the truth. They're not going to tell you what's really happening. And so we have to take ownership and do your own research and look into the information and see what's happening in our communities, to be able to, like, make those changes happen gradually over time. All right, thank you. That's all I have to say. I don't know if anyone else wants to share something.
What about Alice?
The next generation tells me that we're going to get through this, but I don't know in what terms they're speaking, if it's thousands of years or hundreds of years, but they hint that it could be within my lifetime. So I'm holding on to that as a possibility. But I have seen the visions. I've tried to tell them about the cracked earth. I try to tell them about how rare a shower might be. I try to think of what other ways can we clean ourselves. If we rub ourselves with sand, will we get clean? But we really do have to act now. We really do have to imagine what a no-waste world would be. We really have to ponder. Next.
Well, just to piggyback on that one, so to ensure that we're not just coming out for one single issue, right? Like, there is a lot of times that we come out for marches just because it's trendy to come out, but we don't come out for the issues that are important. And climate change is important. Single pay Medicare for all is important. Livable wage is important. Paid sick time is important. Yes, we have to ensure we denounce the NRA when it comes to killing our children, but we have to understand too that lack to health care is killing our children. Not having a good air and having pollution is killing our children. So we have to ensure we come out. We come out to support our causes, not just one single cause.
Speaking to the industry, if anyone from the industry is even listening right now, would even care to listen right now, basically I'd say clean up your act. Have care and respect for yourself and your grandchildren and your children and grandchildren. And if you want to frack, then clean up your act. Quit flaring at your websites. I've driven down the road, and before I even got to see the flaring, I started sneezing just for no reason. It's a very hard sneezes, and then I see the flaring, and then I understand why the hell I'm sneezing. So basically clean up your act, quit flaring at your websites, fix your plumbing problem that allows so much gas to leak into the atmosphere, and quit using 10 million gallons of fresh water to frack one well. And then you won't need so many disposal wells that are causing earthquakes. Monitor your wells, well sites, take responsibility and clean up your act, or else you'll be disrupted out of business sooner rather than later. Whale blubber and buggy whips were once great industries too, but we've somehow cleaned up and moved on. So clean up your act, or you'll be shut down and disrupted by basically clean renewable energy, and that'll be happening sooner rather than later. And damn, I must be good because God just blew this sign on me here. So anyway, that's really about all I have to say. Probably not the most professional presentation or practice, but I just say clean up your act. We're tired of it, man. Clean up your act. Come on. Thanks.
All right, y'all.
I have one more thing to say also. I want to thank my 15-year-old son, Paul, for coming out today and for the inspiration for me to be something more than a poser. I got all this information, all this knowledge about sustainability, but I really haven't been doing anything with it. And you're the reason why I decided to start saying no to IT projects and focus more on trying to do sustainablesa.com and get the word out, educate people about what can be done, what's happening right now, and how we can make this a better world to live in for you and our future offspring, I guess. You know, if and when you decide to have any. I'd really appreciate though if you put it off for a while. You know? So anyway, that's about it. Thank you much.
All right, thanks everybody. We're gonna shut down now, and anyway, just keep it going, keep it carrying it with you, and we'll see y'all soon, and we'll be back up on here soon, and we're not gonna let it go.